I get asked a lot, which platform should I be selling my digital products on? Things like Shopify, SquareSpace, Wix, Etsy. And my answer is always very simple and straightforward. You should always pick the platform that makes the most sense to you, that you're most likely to use on a daily basis. I sold my first digital download products, which were actually bathroom signs, like employees must wash hands, that kind of thing. I sold those on Etsy when I first started out, and there's a couple things I wish I had known before I started selling on Etsy, especially in light of all of the recent changes that Etsy has made to their platform. Hey guys and gals, it's Christina Scalera. I'm back to teach you how to sell your digital download products through an online storefront, and I have labeled this D-commerce, as in digital commerce selling. If you are considering a platform to host your digital download products for sale on, here are some things that you have to know about Etsy if that is still in the running for you. The number one thing to know about Etsy is that they take complete control over your shop, your products, the customer sales process, the checkout, etc. And to some of you who are getting started, that might sound like a dream, just to put your products up and have them available for sale without much effort on your behalf. And that might work out great for a short time, but eventually you will likely want to build a brand, which will mean that you're going to need more control over the customer's experience and journey and all of the time that they spend shopping in your store. If you are selling on Etsy, you're beholden to not just their fees, which have gotten pretty steep as of late, but you're also beholden to any kind of SEO or lack thereof that they have contributing to your online storefront. If you like to do the marketing yourself, which to me, that's one of the most fun parts of business. So I really love that. And if you find that you're doing the same thing where you actually enjoy getting on stories and talking to customers and featuring their success with your products, then you have to remember that if your products are hosted on Etsy and nowhere else, you're giving up a pretty big piece of the pie just to Etsy. And if you want a better ROI, you might consider a different self-hosted platform that isn't that much more effort than Etsy to get set up and running. Plus, it's going to build your own brand. Not only that, but you're going to want to stick around for the third reason I cover here today to make sure that you are completely in alignment with your financial goals going forward as far as the amount of money that you're going to make from your digital products. Number two, the biggest way to get an ROI that you love on your products is to smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed to this channel. Okay, that was super cheesy. Yes, that was planned. But the real number two is that you want to make sure that you're keeping all of Etsy's fees in check. Between the listing fee, the transaction fee, the processing fee, any kind of admin fees, any kind of advertising fees, Etsy is looking to take 10 to 15% of every transaction that someone has through your Etsy shop. So just keep these fees in mind, and whether it really is worth it to have that traffic from Etsy there to purchase your digital products. For most people, they reach a point where that's just not worth it anymore, and it's a better bet to build their own store so that they can continue to have a relationship and communication with their customers. I think a lot of what holds people back from starting their own store and what keeps them stuck on Etsy is that they're afraid that they're not going to be able to design or build the type of shop that they want their customers to experience. And that might be partially true. I remember, actually, you can look yourself. When you look on archive.org, you can go to christinascalera.com and you can see my first shop. So my shop now is called The Contract Shop. It's been called that for over 5 years now. But it wasn't that when I began. I didn't know what to call it, and so I simply called it myname.com. I have a kind of weird name, so it worked out. It's easy to Google. And then later on, I changed the name when I figured out what that would be, and then I changed it to a new iteration of the shop. So we've had 4 different versions of our online store website. I started out on SquareSpace with the template, so you'll see that if you did that archive.org thing. And then we fast forwarded to Shopify. We did a custom site, but it wasn't quite what we were looking for. So then we did a template. We actually kind of like took a step back and went to a template on Shopify. And now we have another custom site on Shopify if you want to check out thecontractshop.com now. If you've considered all these different things that we're talking about here and you still decide that Etsy is the right sales platform for you, that's great. Just make sure that you price all of the fees into the final product price that your customers are going to pay so that you are not cutting into your own profit margins. All right, I told you you'd want to stick around for number 3, and that's because it's the most important thing that we're going to cover here today. As we talked about earlier, Etsy maintains a lot of control over your storefront because it's actually just their sales platform that hosts your products within it. There's not much customization or branding that can happen there. And one of the other things that can't happen on Etsy that really hurts you in the long run is that it's very difficult to build an email list. In fact, with the changes that just occurred in April 2022, it's actually against Etsy's terms of use to try to get your customers' email off of Etsy and onto your own email list. Now, if you have your own store and they're checking out through that store, that's fine. You can keep that, you can maintain the relationship with that customer, you can try to sell them future products and just kind of stay in touch with them so that they continue to buy from you. But you can't do that off of Etsy any longer. Even trying to get around it breaks their terms of use. So if they find out about that, they could shut down your whole shop, and now we're back at square one where you're deciding which platform to host your shop on. One of the most important things in building your online store, especially with digital products, is to create a sense of community because they're not able to touch and shop your products in person. If they're buying something like a template or a checklist from you, it's going to be really important that they see that peer support and also the peer proof of concept where other people are using and enjoying your products. And the best way to do that is with a community that you build off of Etsy. No matter where you're selling, it's not going to be right on that platform. So for example, you might consider starting a Facebook group or a Slack channel, or even having some kind of monthly Zoom call where you all get together, cameras on or off, no judgment there, and enjoy that time as a community together. This will not only help people to remember who you are and continue to buy from you, it's also going to strengthen that bond with your customers so they trust you even more, and that makes them more likely to recommend you. If you want to make sure that you're completely in control of your shop and your customer's experience, I have a lot of resources here on this channel, and I'll link to some below. You're most likely going to want some Etsy alternatives, and so I put a video right here on the screen for you, and I recommend you watch that next. In that video, I cover SquareSpace and Shopify and what the pros and cons of each of them are in detail. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm serious, I don't ask for anything. This isn't sponsored, so if you could just hit that like button, it would mean so much to me, and I'd really appreciate it. Have a great week. I'll see you next time.